Think you know everything about parcel shipping? Think again. This is ProShip ParcelCast, the only podcast hyper-focused on parcel shipping for supply chain and IT professionals in the retail, e-commerce, manufacturing, third-party logistics, and healthcare industries. Welcome to today's episode.
Hi, welcome back to ProShip ParcelCast. I'm your host, Jerry Dixon. I manage the Alliance program here at ProShip. I've been in the supply chain and logistics industry for over 20 years. And joining me today to discuss how to optimize your carrier strategy, we have a panel of logistics experts, Rob Murphy with ProShip, Jennifer Reno, and Stephen Bergen with GLS. Welcome, guys. Rob, why don't you introduce yourself?
Rob Murphy. I'm with the business development side here at ProShip, and I've been with ProShip a little bit over a year, but I have a wealth of time spent in the logistics industry.
Jennifer Reno. I'm a director with GLS. I oversee a few verticals. I have been with GLS for about 3 years now and in the logistics industry for over 15.
And I'm Steve Bergen, president of the GLS US group. Been in the industry for about 22 years and have been part of GLS since they first came to the US back in 2016. And a little bit about that. GLS right now is the largest Western regional parcel carrier and LTL carrier, providing overnight and 2-day delivery services of parcels all across the West. We do everything from first mile, middle mile to last mile, and we're a fully operating network across all of our locations. On top of that, we partner with other regionals across the US and offer a wide array of parcel logistics options and services across the US.
Welcome, everyone. Thanks for joining us. And we're going to start by discussing our current parcel shipping landscape. I recently read in Momentive e-commerce report for 2023 that 51% of e-commerce professionals say that the economy will be the biggest factor in their success this year. And 53% say their company is experiencing more competition now more than they were last year. So, Stephen, as the economic and e-commerce competitive landscapes continue to transform, from your point of view, how has the parcel shipping industry evolved in the past few years, and what major trends drove those changes?
Yeah, you'd be remiss not to bring up what occurred through the pandemic. Capacity completely crunched, and the traditional way of shipping parcels with the big duopoly really started to crack. And it became very evident there needed to be more capacity, more options, and more selection within the overall parcel shipping industry. With that, we've seen different industry verticals take a different position. Some need faster time in transit, some need a bigger overnight footprint, dealing with perishables, car parts. Each one is a little bit different. So we've seen each of those come to market and get smarter about how they're approaching the market now, going, I don't just have to deal with the network that's already there. Additionally, we've seen different industries really work to get parcels into the hands of customers quicker. And so you see edge networks and 3PLs working with local regional carriers to get involved with that and to ensure that customers get their product fast and efficiently.
The shippers have faced a lot of obstacles, haven't they?
Between the capacity, lack of pickup, new requirements on volumes to get certain discounts, those are all things that came down on shippers, and they had to start looking at their options and opportunities. And I think that's really where folks like GLS and the other regional carriers come to play, is that we have those options. So it's a matter of connecting the dots from that shipper to these additional options.
How does price come into play here?
Yeah, price is always an obstacle for a shipper. Obviously, when a shipper is selling something, they don't want to have to, people expect it for free, right? So when people expect it for free, you've got to find ways to build it into your overall cost structure. And you have to be savvy and smart about how you're approaching that. And that's really where finding opportunities based on your size and your scale and what your requirements are is critical. And having options is what gives you that. And those options come with those additional carriers and access to that additional capacity.
That's right. When it comes to adapting a carrier strategy for a retail or e-commerce company, Jennifer, how do you think this year's strategy is different than last year's? If a customer is building their strategy, how much more different does it need to be?
So I think, as Stephen alluded to, the pandemic drove a lot of new entrances into our space, right? So now we have a lot of what we call these giga companies that have entered the logistics environment. And then we also have traditionally what we call the asset-based carriers, which GLS would fall under. So I think that when we look at diversification and what's going to work best, you really need to assess who provides the customization, the flexibility, and the visibility that your customer is demanding. So when we look at trends in the marketplace, Zendesk had a really good study around 52% of customers will switch to a competitor if they have a single negative experience with a certain retailer. So looking at that, right? So over half of your customer base will switch if they have a bad experience. So I think it's really understanding the capabilities of the carrier that you choose and understanding what their network and infrastructure entails. Having assets is important when it comes to the visibility, the information that's relayed to the consumer, and then also the consumer experience on the tracking and the notification side. One of the advancements that we've been really focused on is providing a message to the customer that will give them access and understanding of what's going on with their shipment and their products. This is going to provide a real-time ETA. So we've been able to shorten the windows to the customer's home, which of course has improved on returns. And then also just having that communication with the customer is key when it comes to them wanting to buy from the company again. So I would say that it's more about just having that personal touch and understanding that the carrier can provide that.
GLS, to me, is known in the industry for having a personal and a gentle touch. And with the customers, as well as ProShip, the partnerships with the carriers are very important. You are not just a service provider. You are a partner to the customer.
Exactly. We mandate our sales reps to have constant ongoing conversations. We have a platform internally that provides visibility that our operators use and reach out to the customer proactively, which is very unique. Coming from a large national carrier, the proactiveness that the customer will experience with a regional carrier like GLS is unparalleled. As opposed to receiving a door tag on the customer's door day in and day out at the same time, we actually, after the first attempt, will contact the customer, see when they're going to be home, and then provide that customized experience.
I like that. So, Rob, you work with customers all the time. You are on the front lines of customer discussions about their wants and their needs. Can you maybe give us some insight into what customers are concerned about?
Yeah, there's quite a few factors. One is the market changing, and then there's always volatility associated with that. And then also too, with customer needs and buying habits are constantly changing. Some other things that happen too with customers entering new markets for the first time, if they're going to a new domestic location, if they're going international, new products that they're bringing out to the market, and also entering areas that they might not have been before, if they're going into e-commerce, if they're going into more of a B2B versus B2C, or if they're going to B2C versus B2B now.
Those are good points. We have talked a lot over the past year about carrier diversification, and it's not just about diversifying. It's about rationalizing your carrier mix. And I know that GLS has a gentle touch. We have what you refer to as ground excellence. For instance, you excel in the wine and auto parts shipment area. What other unique value does GLS offer that could provide the solution to customer obstacles?
Yeah, we at GLS really focus on three core things that everyone can take advantage of, but specific verticals take even more advantage of. And the first is our time and transit window, because we focus on ground transportation, really a single product. We're able to do that in a larger geographic footprint than anyone else. So we're largely 1 to 2 days faster than the duopoly's ground product. So that gives us an edge. So folks that have perishables or have products that are very time sensitive relative to fixing a car or getting medical supplies, those are all verticals that really can take advantage of that. And majority of our customers do. And that can be as simple as something as your grandma shipping you cookies too. So it's a wide array that can take advantage of that time in transit. Next is our pickup cutoff time. Again, because we're very focused in what we do and providing a quality service, our cutoff times are much later. So we can allow you to fulfill your product up through the end of the day, and then we can come pick it up from you without all the requirements about minimums and trailer drops or live loads. We're very flexible with how we work with our shippers on that. So that gives you an edge when you're trying to adapt your operations. You got to think about that when you think about cost. And then the last thing really is the cost. It's the price. We're very price competitive. There's a lot of things we can do with pricing that the other guys can't. As we put it, we've got a pay for what you use strategy. So we've got a zone 0, a zone 1. If you're injecting a certain way, there's ways that we work to bring those costs down. So if you're already doing X, we can take that out of the cost factor for you. So having our team be solutions oriented is and really personal to what it is your business is doing is what's going to get you an overall total landed cost that's much less than what you're probably used to, while enhancing the overall services.
All right, so I'm a customer and I'm concerned about costs. I'm concerned that if I switch carriers, I might lose my discounts. What would you tell me if I brought that concern up to you?
End of the day, you have to look at your total landed cost. What are all the factors that you may be getting a discount of X because of your volume, but really what does that next tier look like? And working with us with the volume that we shift and some of the things that we can do, we can largely mitigate that and make that a non-factor in the process. The big duopoly use those as a blunt instrument to try and scare shippers. But at the end of the day, they still want volume as well. So there's always ways to negotiate around that and to work with folks like ProShip and other platforms that can help get around that.
And Jennifer, what are savvy shippers or shipping departments doing to bring value to their supply chain operations?
So looking at shipping costs, distribution costs, fuel, everything is up, right? We look at inflation and there's just been a lot of headwinds from our industry because of the overhead that's associated. So I think really, and Stephen touched on this, but really understanding what your costs entail is going to be key. So in order to understand your cost, you have to have good data. So if that's provided internally at the company and they have that, constantly be reviewing that with your carrier to just ensure that you're on the same page and you have the same metrics and barometers. I think one of the ways that a carrier can assist is if they're able to look at mode optimization. So being that GLS has the largest West Coast footprint, we're able to go through these simulations where we can utilize our various hubs and depots and look at zone skip opportunities. So studies have shown that being closest to the consumer obviously provides the best customer experience. And that's related to visibility, time in transit, all of those key components. So I think understanding truly how your carrier can get creative with their different solutions. And once again, that goes back to understanding their infrastructure and potentially having that closed loop network. And then I would also say that figuring out what type of opportunities there are when it comes to just the overall supply chain. As Stephen shared earlier, GLS does have a brokerage LTL division. We were able to capitalize on that and looking at a national solution, actually. Most recently, we partnered with different regional carriers in different markets throughout the US, and we've been able to bridge these best-in-class regional carriers because of our relationships that we have with these different brokerage, full truckload LTL carriers. So really the flexibility and the understanding of how to be creative in the market.
Good points. It's all about the relationships, isn't it? Rob, you and
Right.
I have talked about this at length about the relationships between the carriers and the technical companies. What would you tell our customers when it comes to how to be savvy?
Yeah, I'd say partnering with a good business intelligence and analytics company, the old saying of garbage in, garbage out. So making sure that you find the right partner within that field, but making sure that you also partner with a multi-carrier shipping software that's going to pass accurate data back. Also, to making sure that you're moving from a manual multi-platform shipping process to a single platform multi-carrier shipping software strategy that helps to automate the shipping process through features like business rules, rate shopping, and then also utilizing an extensive carrier portfolio like ProShips, which GLS is a great addition to.
Okay. Jen and Steve, what are the deadlines for GLS? When can a shipper still onboard GLS? Is it too late?
So looking at the peak season, so we've seen the holiday season gets longer and longer every year. So when we look at some of the trends, right? So we just had Amazon Prime Day. They actually had $12.7 billion, which was a 6.1 jump from the year prior. E-commerce is not going away, even though we are headed into somewhat of an uncertain economic time. I definitely can share statistics that speak to what the e-commerce trends, the growth that they're experiencing. So even last year, when we looked at year over year, there wasn't much positive sentiment around year over year growth because of the pandemic trends that occurred the year prior. However, when we look at last year, online sales rose 3.5%. So understanding that we're most likely going to experience another year of growth, but we are in these somewhat uncertain times, an analyst predict that it's going to be more based on the discount shopping. So what we can anticipate is Cyber Monday having an explosive year, and then perhaps more retailers having discounts throughout the season. So when to start? Yesterday,
Right?
especially understanding that we have this potential looming strike. There's no time better to strike than now, and we're prepared for that.
Good advice. I'd like to offer a roundtable discussion, so feel free to jump in and give your opinions and your advice as you see fit. What are the carrier strategy must-haves?
On that front, the must-haves are really ensuring that you got relationships with everyone that you may need to ship with, getting out there, understanding what the options are in the market, understanding how your products can be handled in different and new ways that you're not just stuck in a single box. Those are the most critical. And from there, you can make good decisions.
I think our marketing department just picked that up. Got relationships. So how quickly can customers get up and running with GLS?
For us, you can sign up and be online in about 10 minutes. Yeah, overall, we have a variety of automated integration suites. So we have a completely modern API that you can get a token and be integrated with immediately with folks like ProShip. That those are already turnkey. So as quick as you can get, as you may have a platform today already that has an integration with GLS. So it could be as quick as just getting a rate card sent over to you from one of the members of our team. So it's a very smooth, easy process.
Awesome. Stephen, you mentioned Southwest. Could you tell us how Southwest is a good example for a must-have carrier strategy?
Yeah, it's similar to Southwest Airlines. What they've done is, if you look at what their strategy to approach the market from the big guys, very similar kind of story. You've got the big carriers, the Deltas, the Uniteds, and they've got their hub and spoke systems. What Southwest did to disrupt the market is they said, hold on, let's offer something no frills, very focused on what the customer needs and get point to point. that they focus their operations on, they can turn a plane in 20 minutes. Anyone who's flown Southwest knows that there's no pre-flight drinks or any of the other frills. It's go. We're going to get you to where you need to go as fast as possible. And so that kind of way of looking at how to differentiate themselves from the big players, in a lot of ways, is similar to what we are. I don't want to say we're the Southwest of the industry. We're a high quality carrier, but similar fashion, we don't have the frills. We're not offering the air services in our industry. Again, we're ground focused, quick turns. We make it so that you can show up last minute and still make it on that overnight 400, 500-mile footprint. That's a very Southwest strategy style, and that's something that both Jen and I have a lot of familiarity with, and that we take to our business.
It's that ground excellence, Jen.
Absolutely. Knowing what you do best.
So when it comes to how top shippers win, my advice and your advice, I think all of our advice in the industry, is to plan early, move quickly. You must adapt. And right now, we are in the final countdown toward peak. You have to diversify and you have to rationalize right now. Any other final thoughts or advice to our listeners and to our customers on why it is important to adapt your carrier strategy? Stephen?
Yeah, I think it's pretty self-evident that the world is changing. More and more people are shipping things. You need to secure your capacity now and ensure that your needs are getting met.
And I'll go back to the customer experience and just how critical and crucial that is. I love my stats. So 88% of online shoppers are more likely to continue shopping on a retailer website that offers a personalized experience. So ensuring that you have the right carrier that can provide that unique and customized experience to the customer.
And I'd say learn from previous peak seasons. So what did you do well? What didn't work? And then make improvements, like you said, in advance to make sure that you're prepared for peak. And also utilize and nurture a multi-carrier strategy along with the right technology to make sure that your shipping process is successful. And again, customer experience is cheaper to keep customers than go out and get new customers. And one of the big things too is customers' interactions, not only with your product, but also through the shipping experience. So make sure that you provide the best experience you can.
Stellar advice from everybody. Thank you so much for joining us. If you would like to visit GLS or ProShip while we are out and about in 2023, you can see ProShip and GLS at Parcel Forum in September. I believe those dates are September 11th through 13th. And GLS will be at Retail Delivery Connect, August 14th through 16th. Also, ProShip will be at Banyan Connect, September 13th through 15th. So we hope to see you there. Thanks everyone for joining us. It was great advice, and I hope everyone has a wonderful weekend.
Thanks for joining us for another episode of ProShip ParcelCast. If you'd like to learn more about ProShip multi-carrier shipping software, visit our website at ProShipInc.com or connect with a ProShip parcel expert via email at sales@ProShipInc.com or by calling 800-353-7774. Be sure to subscribe to ParcelCast on your favorite podcast platform so you don't miss any of our future episodes. And until next month, happy shipping.